All right, let's dive in. For this explainer, I want you to put yourself in the architect's chair. You're in charge. And your job, it's not just about protecting data anymore. It's about architecting a truly secure network that has to work seamlessly across a bunch of different, often conflicting cloud environments. So let's get to it. Here's our blueprint for today. First, we're going to really dig into why multi-cloud security is such a unique and frankly tough problem to solve. Then we'll introduce the core philosophy that's going to be our solution, zero trust. From there, we'll get tactical and talk about how you actually design policies that work everywhere. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with the key takeaways you can start using right away. Okay, so let's start with the big problem we're all facing. The old playbook for network security, you can pretty much throw it out the window. The rules we all learned and relied on for years just don't apply in this new, complicated, and way more dangerous digital world. Let's just get this on the table right now, because it changes everything. Your network, it doesn't have a perimeter anymore. The whole idea of a castle and moat defense where you just protect the outer walls is completely obsolete. Your apps, your data, your users, they're everywhere. They're in AWS, they're in Azure, they're in GCP. The inside of your network is now scattered all over the planet. And that right there is the million-dollar question for any architect today. If you don't have a border to defend, how in the world do you secure anything? How do you protect your most critical assets when the very concept of a safe internal network has basically evaporated? So, this is where we pivot from the problem to the solution. And it starts with a whole new way of thinking. This isn't about buying a new shiny box or a piece of software. It's a fundamental shift in mindset. It's a new foundation for how we approach security. So what is zero trust? Well, at its core, it's a security model built on one incredibly simple but powerful idea. Never trust, always verify. You just completely abandon the old idea of a trusted internal network. In a zero-trust world, you treat every single request, every connection, as if it's coming from the wide-open, hostile internet. It's like having a security guard in every single room, checking IDs for every single person, not just one guard at the front door of the building. Now, to make that philosophy a reality, it really stands on three pillars. First, you verify explicitly. That means you always authenticate and authorize based on every piece of data you have. Who is the user? Where are they? What device are they on? Is it healthy? All of it. Second, you use least privileged access. This is key. You give people and services the absolute minimum access they need to do their job and not a single permission more. And third, and this one is a big mental shift, you assume breach. You build your entire system with the assumption that the bad guys are already inside. That forces you to build containment right from the start, so one small problem can't turn into a massive disaster. Okay, so we have the philosophy down. Now let's get our hands dirty. It's time to go from the what and the why to the how. This is where we turn that theory into a real tactical blueprint for designing policies that actually work across all your different clouds. Your number one tool for putting zero trust into practice is a technique called micro-segmentation. You can think of it as taking your big flat network and chopping it up into tiny isolated zones. Instead of having one giant open plan office where anyone can wander anywhere, you're building a series of small, secure rooms with strict access control on every single door. And this idea of tiny, secure islands is the perfect way to picture it. Each application, maybe even each component of an application, gets its own little island. So if an attacker somehow manages to get onto one of those islands, well, they're stuck. They can't just swim over to another island and attack your critical databases or other apps. That containment is what makes this so powerful. It dramatically shrinks the blast radius of any potential breach. Now, here's where the rubber really meets the road for a multi-cloud architect. Every cloud provider, AWS, Azure, GCP, they all have their own native tools for this. AWS has its security groups, Azure has network security groups, GCP has its VPC Firewall Rules. They all kind of do the same thing, but they're all different. Your job as the architect is to rise above that complexity. You need to create one single, unified security policy, the intent, and then have a system that translates that intent into the specific language of each cloud. You manage the strategy, not three different complicated tool sets. Okay, we've gone through the problem, the big idea, and the nitty-gritty tactics. So let's bring it all home and boil it down to the absolute essentials. These are the core principles you need to carry with you to guide your multi-cloud future. Think of these as your 3 commandments. Number 1, Treat every single network as hostile. Internal, external, it doesn't matter. There is no safe zone anymore. Number 2, enforce your security policies as close to the thing you're protecting as possible, right at the workload level. That's your best defense against attackers moving around. And finally, number 3, design a single unified policy. Your goal is consistency and control, so you can spend your time managing security, not just fighting with complexity.
And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with this question, because building a zero-trust architecture isn't a one-and-done project. The world keeps changing, technology keeps evolving, and attackers keep getting smarter. The real ongoing challenge of being a great architect is to always be asking, what's next? Where's my next blind spot? Because finding it before the bad guys do, well, that's the whole game.